Hello, I'm Eric from Bosch and I'd like to spend a few minutes talking to you about jigsaw blades. The jigsaw, of course, is a very important product, particularly for Bosch, since we invented it way back in the late 1940s. Here's a 1952 model, just to show what they were like in the beginning, and since then, of course, the rest is just history. They can be used for cutting pretty much any material, depending on what blades are available. We would draw the line at concrete, though. Okay, we've not yet perfected a jigsaw blade for cutting concrete. So let's move on. Technology has increased, and also the cut capacity of products have increased, and we've now got machines like this model here, which cuts up to 160 millimeters in timber. There's relevance in me telling you that, because of course you need a particularly long blade if you're going to go anywhere near that cut capacity. So we've had to adapt. We are the world's largest manufacturer of jigsaw blades, and we manufacture for most of the big names out there in the power tool market. But just a few hints and tips really on choosing a jigsaw blade. There's hundreds, literally hundreds of jigsaw blades to choose from now. And some basic tips I'll like to share with you now. So first of all, if we just take a really simple blade like the T101B, familiar to a lot of you guys, I'm sure. This is a ground blade, and we describe it now as clean for wood. There is a reason for that. It's because there is no offset on the teeth. So the teeth do not overlap, if I can just illustrate it with my fingers. This is an offset so that the blade is creating a larger gap than is necessary to pass the back of the blade through. These do not have an offset, so these are a ground blade. They produce a very clean cut. They produce very little splintering on the top side of the material. Remember, with very few exceptions, jigsaw blades only cut in one direction. This is typically up through the material onto the side that the machine is running. So this is particularly good for clean cuts, and you can use it also in laminated materials with minimal damage on the top surface. I didn't say no damage, but minimal damage. But you need to think about several things when you choose a jigsaw blade. One would be, what is the material we're cutting? What type of cut do you need? And by type of cut, I mean, do you want it to be a clean cut? Do you want it to be a fast cut? Those two are not always achievable at the same time. Do you want to make a curved cut? There are icons on the packaging which we're striving all the time to make simpler and simpler, little pictures, little pictograms, which give an indication, as in this case there's one here, which is indicating that this blade is particularly good for straight cuts. It's very easy to recognize this little picture, there's no words necessary. Why is it only good for straight cuts? Jigsaws surely were developed to go around corners, to make shapes and curves. That's true, and every jigsaw blade, of course, will cut a curve. But if you're talking about really tight curves, then this particular blade, the 101B, is definitely a bad idea. Okay, so if you're talking about the jigsaw blade cutting on the upstroke, quite often you will want to work on perhaps a laminated worktop or a piece of shelving, okay, and you want to see where you're cutting, you want that top side to be clean. As I said, the 101B is fairly clean cutting, but it will still tend to chip the laminate. So a very popular alternative to the 101B is the 101BR. And the only difference is that this one has R for reverse tooth. So it cuts on the downstroke, not on the upstroke. This is a popular blade, often referred to as a worktop blade, for obvious reasons, because people will use these to cut out sink openings, for example, in a worktop, giving a very clean edge on the decorative laminate. There are downsides, of course, no pun intended, to using a down cutting blade. One is you can't use pendulum action. And for those of you that know your jigsaws, pendulum action gives you a more aggressive cut, and it cuts thicker materials much more effectively and much more quickly. Don't use pendulum on a down cutting blade. You'll get all the right noises from the machine, but it actually will cut very, very slowly, almost at a standstill. So it'll be painfully slow to cut if you switch on pendulum action. So it will be fairly slow in cutting the thicker worktops. And remember, depending on your technique, when you come to those corners, if you just want to cut round them and produce a radius, you're in trouble with these ground blades. They are not designed for curves.